You can keep talking for another minute. I just want you to know. Come on up to the front. So are these live?
Yes. Yes. We're on. You're on the air.
Let me get my glasses.
At this point, everybody should be muting themselves for the meeting.
Thanks, Kat.
Be careful what you say.
On mute.
Hi, Sylvia.
So this is the other thing we're asking for, and here's, for the head language. We won't get into talking about it.
No, not at all.
Kathleen, could you say something to us? We want to make sure we're. There we go. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, we can hear you. You've got. We've been listening to all your.
I just wasn't hearing you at first, but I do now. Thank you.
We've been watching you eating cinnamon rolls and.
Not yet.
I won't tell you how good they are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why
You make me hungry watching.
How are you doing, Mike? Good. How are you? I'm able to sit up and get you. Watch that camera.
Yeah, okay. We're waiting 2 minutes. To the real time. We're using the computer.
Jim says we're going to start in 2 minutes, friends.
Had to unmute myself. I said I just looked and noticed it was 9:58, so I figured we had 2 minutes left.
Good morning, Jan.
Here, I'm unmuting myself to say hello. Hello, Kathleen. Kat, right? You go by
Yeah,
Kat?
Kat.
Hey,
Hi.
Jan.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
Jan.
thank you for taking my time.
Oh, it was marvelous. It had many benefits.
Did anybody come in?
Let's see. Chris Kitzman came in and she informed me of a lot of good things in the community, including where to get my hair done, and it was great to catch up with her. But that was about it. I did some tidying up.
Oh, but you're really good at that.
Yeah. Well, good to see you. You look good.
Thanks. You look good too.
I hope, yeah, you feel good. That's good.
Yeah, it's I feel a whole lot better than I did on Thursday.
Oh. Well, it's another gorgeous day out there. When you and I are talking, is everyone hearing it or?
Yes.
Oh.
This is not a private conversation.
Well,
We should really mute, actually, Jan.
Okay, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order here. Everybody had their treats and is all satisfied. There's no food back there. All right, we're going to start today as usual, just like Jan would do.
I can't understand anything.
We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance here.
It's feedback.
Can we communicate with them?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to introduce you to Jim Grosso, our director, who's going to open the meeting with a few special announcements. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Mark.
The audio is not working at all. We cannot hear it. It's all muffled and feedback.
Excellent, thanks.
Please stand.
I sent them a chat, so hopefully they'll figure it out.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear it?
What's that?
Can you hear it yet?
It's still muffled. Something needs adjusted.
But they're trying.
It was working great 20 minutes ago.
Is that right, Kat?
Yeah, yeah.
Hello? Is that
Oh,
better?
so much better.
Hello?
Much
Oh,
better.
it's better.
You're there, Jim.
Test 1, 2.
All good.
Can you hear that clearly now?
Yes,
Absolutely.
we can hear you.
Anyone? Can anyone respond back?
Hello?
All good.
Hello,
Jim?
all well.
Hello?
Can we
It's
see if
all
we-
good.
Yeah, but let's see if we could hear Jim. That was Bill.
I could hear Jim. This is Jackie.
Okay,
Can they hear us?
Hear
we're
you, Jackie.
supposed to be muted.
Hello?
Hello.
I could hear that. Great.
Great.
Jim, can you hear us?
We sure can.
Okay.
And we can hear you just fine.
Okay, great.
Okay, the fuzz is
Live and in
gone.
color from headquarters. Okay, well, thank you all for being here. I'm Jim, the chair. That's Mark, one of the secretaries, and this is Karen, our county commissioner. We'll be hearing from both of them and some others today. It's great to have you all here. This is the last meeting of the year this way. We're going to have our wonderful Comfort and Joy gathering in a few weeks, and we'll tell you more about that. But this is our last meeting together for the year, so let's make the best of it. It's great to have you all here, both in person and online. Thanks for coming. We really appreciate it. We want to thank Teresa and everybody else who brought food today. And in fact, everybody who's brought food all year. We are famous for our food. Thank you. Okay, so first thing I want to tell you, if you haven't heard, Comfort and Joy is our next and last event of the year. It's to raise funds for the Benzie Food Partners and for the St. Philip's Baby Pantry. It'll be all day here at headquarters on Saturday, December 9th. We're going to decorate the place. There'll be a little booth outside if you can't come in, but you want to come in because there's going to be some nice food, surprise, and hot drinks and a fire and all kinds of stuff on the video, don't worry. But anyway, so we have these nifty little handouts here, and I'm going to hand them to Karen, and she's going to hand them to Sylvia. And please take one or two of them, and please give one to a friend. Think of a kind friend who would like to donate to this, and give that to them, okay? Take one or two or three. I made about 70 of them. There's about 30 people here, so, okay? So that's what's up with that. And I believe, are we set for food yet, Teresa? For Comfort and Joy? Okay. Okay, if someone online would put that in the chat, that contact Teresa if you can provide some food. Is that okay? Great. So that'll be fun. All right. I have a couple announcements to make for Susan Wenslick. She's one of our members. She helped found the Benzie Pride Network, and they do have some events coming up that we wanted to share with all y'all in case you want to support it or attend or tell a friend of yours. Sunday, it's tomorrow actually, tomorrow from 2 till 6 at St. Philip's, and then from Monday and Tuesday at the Benzie Historical Museum. They're making Christmas decorations, so tomorrow at St. Philip's, there'll be Christmas decorations making, there'll be board games, there'll be just a lot of hanging out and having fun. That's tomorrow at St. Philip's from 2 until 6, and then they'll be decorating at the Historical Museum on Monday and Tuesday. And if you'd like more information on that, you can email benzylgbtq@gmail.com. I'll ask Kat to enter that into the chat. Kat, would you do that? benzylgbtq@gmail.com. And you can get more information from Susan and that group, all right? Another thing I want to tell you is that one of the greatest things we are doing as a party right now is our Lookout program. We are sending people to townships to take notes on the meetings. We are then sharing those notes. We are editing them through our wonderful Deanne Lowell, who just turns them into gold. It's great. And then they go out to those township members. We still need lookouts in 3 very important townships: Blair, Crystal Lake, and Gilmore. We really need some help with all of those. What did I say? Blair. It's Blair. It's Blaine. Excuse me. Too much coffee. So if you would like to do that, we are looking for help. Just put your name in the chat, and we will track you down and get you going on it. It's basically going to one township meeting a month and writing up the notes you take from it and sending them to Deanne, who will then send them out. So you don't have to live in any of those townships. You can live anywhere and do this as long as it's not too long of a drive. But please think about doing it. It would be a big, big help. It's really important because we're going to be doing some local election stuff this next year, and to have a real bead on the pulse in the different townships is a very, very important thing. So if you can help us, please. Also, there is a new Congressional District 1 newsletter. We are in Congressional District 1 along with our friend Jack Bergman. And as you know, there are several people gearing up to run against him. Dr. Bob and Callie Barr are both vying for the privilege to take Jack out if they can, and they're going to try real hard. So we have a newsletter. People are publishing a newsletter for the entire congressional district. It's on our website, and you can go there and look at it. Right now, you'll see it if you go right to the website, which is benzydemocrats.com. benzydemocrats.com. So check that out, okay? We'll send out a link on it with our next email, but please look at it. There's stuff going on all over the congressional district, which starts kind of here and goes north to Copper Harbor. That's huge, as I'm sure you know. Okay. One more, a couple other things. There are petitions in the back there for the good time amendment, which they're trying to bring into law, which Michigan doesn't have good time for its prisoners. No matter how good or bad you are, they don't knock that off the time. There's no way to earn good time, and we think that's a drag. And one of our members is working a petition on that. It's on the back table there. If you signed it previously, that petition has been spoiled for some reason, so we're going to ask you to please re-sign, all right? And it's always on that table back there. You can stop in Tuesdays or Thursdays when we're open in the afternoons and sign it then, or sign it now because you're here, okay? Great. Finally, as I said, this is our last meeting together where it's a meeting between now and the end of the year. And looking back, I just want to say how inspired I am by this group. You all do such great work, whether it's the letters to the editor stuff, which is getting great letters in the Record Patriot pretty much every week, and we're showing up in the Northern Express, and we're showing up in the Record Patriot or the Record Eagle as well. It's great work, it really is. I really am so appreciative of that. And I really want to thank the Lookouts who are going out one evening a month and writing up these things and getting them out so people are thinking local. One of the biggest problems in politics is that all we think about is what we see on TV. And that has almost nothing to do with us except to make us mad. So a better strategy is to get involved locally, and that's what we do here. And when you help as a Lookout, you're helping us do that big time. So thank you guys, all of you, guys and gals. And also, really want to thank the executive committee. They've been great. They're such partners with each other. We have such a great rapport, and we we figure all this stuff out and make it happen. And so I'd like to thank all of them as well. And I'd also like to thank our newly formed campaign committee, which is already working hard, looking towards next year. We're going to be thinking about how we recruit and then how we support our candidates and how we make Benzie go even bluer than it did last time, which was blue enough to turn a lot of heads. And we're going to do that even better this time. So I just want to thank you all for a great year. And I just can't thank you enough, so I'll shut up now. Okay? But thank you. Okay, great.
Hey, Jim.
Okay, now the thrilling highlight of the meeting is our bylaws approval, and we're going to let Mary Roebling handle that. Mary, take it away.
It is with great pleasure that that I bring this issue to you today. We have had a bylaw committee meeting for at least 4 months, making some changes in our bylaws that make them a little bit more user-friendly and reflect our values even more than they did before. And I am deeply grateful to them for all of their volunteer work and all of their service. Each one of the people on that committee is a little different, and it was a very, very effective group. Again, it was a 4-month process. When we were done doing our work, we brought the finished product to the executive committee, and they read it and studied it for over a month, and then they voted to approve those bylaws. And now today, it's your opportunity as the general membership to approve these bylaws. And the link was sent to you, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks ago. They've been on our website. And so what we need for you to read and peruse and decide yay or nay if you are going to accept them as the bylaws for the Benzie County Democratic Committee. And so right now, what we need from you is a yay or a nay vote by hand. And that way, all the people who are online, like me, Zooming, can go to their reaction slot and raise their hand. And Jim, will you count the hands?
Mark.
Great. Mark will do it? Yeah, Mark being the secretary person. Okay, excellent. So everyone in favor, please raise your hand.
Keep them up.
Yeah, keep them up.
Okay, we think it's 12 online and it's 31 here. Yay? Okay.
Yay. Okay, and all the nays, will you please raise your hands?
Okay, the chair sees no names, no how, nowhere. Okay, so.
Excellent. So then the bylaws pass and are enshrined for another some 4 years. Thank you all very, very much for all your help. Yay!
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mary.
Yay!
Hot dog. Thank you.
Good job, bylaws committee.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
Okay, well, thank you all. And we're going to move right along now. And a couple things I want to tell you before we get going. Some of them are a little technical. if you are watching on Zoom and you just want to see the picture of who's talking, you can pin it, and there's a way to do that. How do you do that?
You highlight the person that you want to pin. You go to the upper right-hand corner and click the 3 little dots, and then you click pin. Very simple.
Okay, great. So if you want to do that, do that. If you don't, don't. Real simple. The other thing is, as we pass the microphone around here, if you don't want the people on Zoom to hear you, start talking before we get to you, okay? And when they get to you, don't get close to the microphones. Keep it out here, and they won't hear you, okay? But if you want them to hear you, it's like this, okay? This is what works, okay? So please do that. Thank you. Now, one more thing. Do you love these umbrellas? Yes. They are on sale here today if you want to buy one, okay? All right, cool. Now, next up, our wonderful District 3 County Commissioner, Karen Cunningham. Karen?
Thank you and good morning. Correct? Correct. Okay, I'm a good student, I guess. Thank you, you guys. And good morning. We had a very long Board of Commissioner meeting, the last one, because it was the morning session and then our afternoon study session. In the afternoon study session, we listened, I won't get into details with it, we're still deciding on it, but decided where the opioid money was going to be going, what we have right now, and there were 4 applicants that presented to the board and during that study session. And we had a rubric that we rated them by, and then also were able to ask questions at the time. So it was a long session, very worthwhile, and we're waiting for the outcomes when it all gets tabulated. I did submit, it's kind of a long report. I include things that I'm officially signed to, that I go to, but then in the latter portion of it, I just have it under, I call it community. So there were quite a few things that I went to there also. And 2 of the things that I found out by going through community was the Maples had an ad hoc committee, I want to say it was Wednesday, and Miss Megan Garza was announced as the new director there. She has been acting as interim. She has been acting as interim, and that just is fresh off the press, so it's kind of my handwritten notes in addition to what you see in the report I gave. And the second thing is, some of you may have heard that NMC, North Michigan College, has been looking at us, or it has been brought to their attention that we would like to have maybe in-district pricing for tuition. Well, I received an email. There's going to be 4 dates, 4 different locations, 4 different times that they're going to have like a town hall for citizens, residents to come to and voice their opinion on that and give suggestions. Do you want me to name those? Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for December, 7 p.m. at Frankfort City Hall, 5 December at 10 a.m. at the Mills House, 7 December, a day in infamy, 3 p.m. at the Gathering Place in Honor. So they've split it up nicely. And 9 December at 10 a.m. at United Methodist Community Center in Lake Ann. So those are the locations. Please, if you have opinion on that, that gives you opportunity to voice that. So, and I think they'll put that in the chat there. Somebody will put it there. But other than the long report that I have, those were the ones that were in addition. And, the other thing is thank you for the reminder. The other thing, on Tuesday, I go to city and then I go right to Crystal Lake Township, their evening meetings. And we are asking the boards or the council, not the council, they're not included on this, but we are asking that they write a resolution for us to include the Headley Proposal A on the ballot. That's all we're asking. In the meantime, we're trying to do the educating on that from the board, the commissioners' boards, but each one of us are tasked with going out to our districts. And I did drop off a few booklets here at Democratic headquarters, so we have that. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Let's thank her for her service.
Jim, could we ask to have her report put on the website so that we
Yes,
could all?
we can. Sure, we can put that on the website. That's a great suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Great. And so, okay, Karen is just the hardest working gal in show business. She really is.
Really?
She's amazing. We are very, very lucky to have you with us. Thank you. Okay, next up, we're going to do the do-si-do here. Yep. And Kira Duvernoy, our wonderful membership director and vice chair, is going to give us a little wrap on what happened this past year.
Well, it's my pleasure to announce that we're ending the year with more than $20,000 in our coffers. Woo! And the great news is that this year, an off year, we raised as much money as we did during the 2020 year, which was a presidential election. So that's really remarkable. And that's because of who? You, our fabulous members and donors. And we just thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because we all know that money makes the world go round. So most of that income is through our memberships. We have approximately 300 active members. And if you are wondering if it's time for you to renew, you can ask me. I have that information, after, when we're done here, you can come on over to the desk and ask me. So now for the push next year, oh my God. We know that next year's election, we know it will define us as a country that is a democracy or one that is an autocracy. And so I hate to say that, but it really is true. And so it's, of course, once again, the most important election of our lives. So in order for us to keep doing all the good work we've been doing, we want to make sure everybody continues to be engaged and renew next year. You'll be all given, a call and sent something in the mail, so you don't have to wonder. But we just really appreciate your membership and your generosity, and we ask that, if possible, you continue. Nothing too small, nothing too big. Thank you.
Thank you, Kira. And I just want to thank Kira again for being the vice chair and membership chair. She's just, woo! Okay, next on the program here, we had an election a couple weeks ago here in Benzie County, and our election wonk professional, who also manages our wonderful Facebook operation, Aubrey Parker, is going to go through the numbers with us quickly to tell us what happened 2 weeks ago here in Benzie County with our last local election. Aubrey, it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us, and thank you in advance for this great work.
Thanks, Jim. Can you give me the ability to share screen?
You are a co-host.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Tom's doing it.
Okay.
You
There
got
we
it?
go. Yep, got it. Okay. Can you guys see that? You should be seeing some spreadsheets. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I just have a few things for you guys. So number one is that we can see here, so these are the total registered voters here that I'm highlighting on the far left in column B for every township, and then the totals. So we have 16,841 total registered voters in Benzie County as of, last week. That is 74 up from this time last year. There were only 4 townships that did not see a gain, that saw a loss. Instead, Benzonia lost 2 registered voters. Blaine lost 5 registered voters. Crystal Lake Township lost 26 voters, and Frankfort lost 17. But everybody else gained. The biggest gains that we saw were 46 in Inland, which is pretty significant compared to the rest. They're like 6, 4, 9. But yeah, so 74 up. So that's where we saw the biggest losses and gains. However, of those 16,000, only 4,246 actually voted. So it was an average of 25% turnout. Let's see, I gotta look at my notes. So that 25% turnout, sorry, I'm losing my notes. Where were we? There we go. Right. So on average, it was 25% turnout. It's interesting that we see that that among the highest were the places that had more than just the Benzie Road Commission on the ballot. So in Benzonia, it was 29.9%. They had a couple fire millages. And I believe we'll get to that. No, they didn't have fire millages. I'm sorry. They had the Beulah thing. We'll get to that. And then Frankfort had 36.6%. And Inland Township had 25.9%. So they were all at least at the average or above, which makes sense. Some of the places that had fewer things, the least, for instance, the smallest voter turnout was Colfax Township. They only had 7%. And the highest was Lake Township. They had 38% turnout.
That's you.
Yeah. Okay. Questions? So the road commission was the big thing on the ballot. You can see in green here, I put things in green if it won and red if it went down, essentially. So you can see that it passed in every single township. And overall for the county, it passed by a 3-1 margin. It was 3,213 votes for and 1,010 votes against. The last time that we voted on a Benzie Road Commission was back in 2018. That was, let's see, that the difference there in almost every township, we lost yes voters, but we also lost no voters. That's because we didn't have as many people voting in this election as we did in that August one. So yeah, the last time they wrote it on the road commission millage was August 2018. So it's not quite the same as having a November 2023 election. But it's similar in that in 2018, in that August election, there were 3 county millages that were on there. It was Road Commission, Drug Enforcement, and Conservation District. So overall, we had 79 fewer yes votes over 2018, but we also had 50 fewer no votes. And again, that's not super surprising because what I'm guessing is that a lot of the snowbirds have already left and they didn't bother to get an absentee ballot. I don't know, but that would be my guess. Let's see. Okay, so the next one is the fire millage in Frankfort. It passed 345 to 62. I couldn't find when the last time that we had a fire millage in Frankfort was, because for those of you who don't know, Benzie County got a new website. And Karen, maybe this is something that you can go back and tell Benzie County, actually, because I haven't reached out to the township, to the county clerk yet, but there's nothing before 2018 August on the website. Everything else is gone. So there used to be where I could see, the 2016 elections and the 2015 and 14, and all of that is gone. It's only August on. So I don't know when the last time is, and I couldn't find that on the website. In Frankfort, there were 3 people up on the, there were 2 people on the ballot, and then there was a write-in candidate, and there were only 3 positions. So all of those got elected. Dale Charters, Brady Olson, and Ed Corella. Brady Olson was the only one who had been on the ballot before. He was on in 2021. that was a contested election where people could win or where like there were people who lost, unlike this time. So Brady had 16 fewer votes this time than he did last time, but there were also 122 fewer voters this time than in 2021 for that election. In Inland Township, they passed both of their fire millages, 323 for the fire equipment renewal, 210 against, 333 for the fire operating renewal, and 206 against. Again, I couldn't really compare, just like Frankfurt, because I couldn't find the previous time that Inland Township voted on that. In Inland Township, Roseworth narrowly kept her position. They were trying to recall her and elect Lindsay Miller, who was nonpartisan. She was not recalled, so she by 21 votes, there was a difference. So Roseworth got 273 of the votes and Lindsay Miller only got 252. So that was a difference of 21 votes. And notably, there were 20 people in Inland Township who voted for the fire millages, but they did not vote for either Rose or Lindsay. So there were essentially 20 votes that were left on the table. So that could have made a difference if those people had voted one way or the other potentially. And then the last one is just that the village of Beulah had a restore charter millage, and that lost by only 5 votes. That was 60 people who voted to restore and 65 people who voted against. So that is what I noticed. And I don't know if anyone has questions about any of this, but that's the stuff that I noticed.
Thank you, Aubrey. We could take 1 or 2 questions. Any questions? Okay, Aubrey, thank you for all that hard work and for your fine presentation. Let's thank her. Okay, we're looking for our wonderful state representative, Betsy Coffia. Is she on the call?
While you're doing that, would you be able to read the chat of the additions I made from the announcements? Or should I?
We'll read it when we find it here, just a second.
Right. That's why I offered.
Okay, right here. Cindy Shapiro wants us to know that there's a Middle East peace rally and a women's march at 1 o'clock. What day? Today? Today, at the workshop on Garland Street in downtown Traverse City. That's at 1 o'clock today at the workshop in downtown Traverse City. They will be assembling for a women's march, but you don't got to be a woman to do this. And it's a Mid-East Peace Rally, march, rally. It's a rally, okay? It's right downtown, kind of across the street from the brand new Indigo Hotel down there, or whatever, if that's what it's called. Yeah, it's across the street from the bus station, would be another way to put it, okay? Yes?
I'm leaving because I left Jean at home. She just had foot surgery.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, we don't see Betsy yet. I told her by 10:40, and we're a little early for that. So she may join. Jeannie, did you want to say something? Tom, would you bring her the microphone? Close?
I just wanted to mention to everybody
Close?
about the election for next February. It's going to be 9 days before the actual election day, and then the 10th day. So all of the little districts have to pay for that. And I don't think very many people know about that. In fact, the last election, people came in and said, there's an election today, because I didn't see any announcements for that or any advertising for that last election. So as an election official, it was really, really low in Platte Township for the people that came in to vote. But the next time you vote, you're going to have the opportunity to vote 9 days ahead and then also on election day. The other difference that's happening is if you have an absentee ballot and you bring it in, you will be allowed to feed it into the machine, which you weren't allowed to do before.
It's very scratchy. We can't hear.
Okay, we're going to wait a minute here to see if Betsy shows up. I'm shooting her an email right now to see what's up. There may be some confusion. Huh? Oh, who's calling? Oh, okay. We got a question here from, go ahead, from Bob.
Democrats for around town. I just wanted to let everybody know that this first congressional district we're in.
We cannot hear on Zoom. We cannot hear anything on Zoom. It's all muffled.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I just want to let everybody know that Michigan's first congressional district has 36 counties in it. It has over 40% of the land area of the whole state of Michigan. It has very low population, but we have a current House representative who's basically, in my terms, is a reprobate, not a Republican. And we need to get rid of Jack Bergman. So anything you can do in the first district anywhere from almost all the way down to Ludington and all the way up to Copper Harbor, tell all your friends, get rid of that guy.
Can you hear me? I was going to say, can you hear me now? No? Hello? Okay, we got a bad mic, everybody. What do you know, Chris? Okay. Okay, we've reached out to her. We're going to wait and see for 2 or 3 minutes to see if she shows up, because you're all here to hear her, I know. I know that she had a car problem that stopped her from getting somewhere a couple days ago to miss a ribbon cutting somewhere, so maybe there's some transportation difficulties. I don't know. But we're going to just take a break for a second so y'all can chat and hang out. I got nothing to entertain you with, so... Bill's got some old sermons he would roll out.
Got a joke?
I hope you got rid of that bad mic.
I'm talking on that bad mic now. Is it still bad?
No, it's good now.
It's good? Okay.
Let's see.
Sure hope that Betsy is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe turn this down. Be like the extras in a movie.
Hey, Stevie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
I have a question for anybody who's listening. I won't bother with the chat. Jim Sheets just died. Are we going to do anything as Dems in a kind of honor of Jim Sheets?
I'm seeing Jim shake his head. Yes, I'm not aware. At the moment, I'm not aware.
I just thought, you know, he's sort of an iconic Democrat, and he's been part of the party for so long, longer than any of us probably. And you remember all the barbecues he would do, and he was always lending us his stuff for parades, even right up till this last second, you know, this last parade thing, 4th of July. And I don't know whether we should collect money. And
Betsy Coffia just chimed in and I admitted her.
oh, okay. I'll text. I mean, I'll type.
Okay, we're almost ready to get going here. Yeah. Okay, Betsy, if we'd like to introduce you, looks like you're set to go. Please, everybody. Please, everybody. Okay, we're very, very happy to bring you a woman who's worked so hard for Up North Michigan for so long, and being in the State House is only the latest addition in what she does. And she's just coming back from her great first year and the Democrats' first great year in Lansing in quite a while. So will you please welcome Betsy Coffia, our state representative.
Hey everybody. Hello, Benzie Dems. How you doing this morning? Amazing. It's so good to be with you all. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in person. I'm actually in transit right now. So if you hear travel noises, it's because I'm on the road. But so excited and proud to have an opportunity to report into you as the one Democrat in a sea of red up north, representing our values in the state legislature. And, you know, thank you so much to Jim and all the leadership of the Benzie Dems for giving me this opportunity. You know, Jim talked about hard work. It's true, but I'm looking at a room full of people who were absolutely just as responsible with all the hard work over the years, moving the needle so that we could elect a Democrat up north. So I would love for y'all to just give a collective round of applause for the work that folks in Northern Michigan did to make that possible. It only happens because we work together. So Jim asked me to give kind of an update. There's been a lot moving, so I will do my best to kind of run through some of the highlights of what we have been able to accomplish in our first year with the first Democratic trifecta in 40 years. I was 5 years old the last time this was a thing, so we've been busy trying to make sure we're moving and delivering on as many priorities as possible, and there's much more to do. So let's see. We have passed over 200 bills. I'm sorry, just under 200 bills, but I was trying to think how to break this down, and I'll start, if you don't mind, with a few of the ones that I have worked on that have actually passed and got the governor's signature. For example, the very first bill that I was responsible for as a sponsor that got the governor's signature about a week ago has to do with honoring and recognizing our 12 federally recognized tribes here in Michigan, one of which, Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians, overlaps with my district in the 103rd. And essentially what was brought to my attention was that tribes offer really critical domestic and sexual violence services and shelters across our state, and in rural areas in particular. Sometimes they're the only offering there is, and they serve both Native and non-Native survivors alike as they're moving away from such a terrible and dangerous situation. But as has often been the case in both state and federal law, the tribes were overlooked when it came to being recognized that they were eligible for domestic violence and sexual violence treatment funding from the state of Michigan. They were just completely overlooked in state law. So I worked with the tribes. I had the Grand Traverse Band, Sioux Tribe, and some others, as well as some domestic and sexual violence organizations support in putting forward a bill that explicitly names the 12 federally recognized tribes as eligible to receive state funding to support their shelters and support programs. And that passed the House and the Senate, and the governor just signed it about a week ago. So that was something that we were able to get done, my office as representative for the 103 in partnership with the tribe. So really excited about that one getting done. Thank you. Thank you. Another bill that I championed as part of a larger democracy and election protection and expansion package just was signed by the governor, and it has to do with our young people. you think about juniors and seniors in high school, they're getting their driver's license, they're taking, AP Gov, they're becoming much more tuned in and aware of the political landscape and frankly, the decisions that are being made that directly impact them, whether it's LGBTQ rights, climate, housing, mental health, you name it, right? And what my bill does is address the fact that this is a really prime age to get them tuned in and basically looped in to become lifelong voters participating in the process. 19 other states already have done this, but what my bill does is pre-register 16 and 17-year-olds, getting them into the pipeline so that the moment they turn 18 and are legally able to vote, they are already set to go. And the idea being they then begin exercising that muscle of civic participation and they become lifelong voters. In the states where this has been enacted, we have seen a significant enough increase in youth participation that it really did seem like the right thing to do. And it was something civics teachers and students and clerks supported. So I championed that bill and it just got over the finish line. And I believe the governor either just signed it or is about to sign it. So getting our young people involved in the process was another bill that I got across the finish line this year. Another one, and I don't remember if I had the opportunity to present to the full Benzie Dems about this. I know I spoke about it at the wonderful fundraiser that we had this summer out in Benzie County, but I'll tell the whole party. Growing up, I grew up in Kalkaska County, and the issue of inequity of funding for our rural school districts has been a problem throughout my lifetime. And specifically, some of you might remember Kalkaska County, their public schools literally shut down a couple of months early. Do you remember this in the 90s? Because they literally ran out of money. When they reopened, the thing they had to cut in order to keep paying the bills and making payroll was busing. What I learned from talking to superintendents and educators was that the state had no equity formula to make sure that rural districts that are spending anywhere between sometimes 10 to 15% of their general fund budget just on the gas tank, just on wear and tear on their buses for huge bus routes, that there was no equity there. And so downstate districts that had a few mile radius to drive their kids to school, all that money that they didn't have to spend on busing went right into the classroom, went into AP Gov, went into college prep, went into mental health support, field trips, art, music, all the things that every child needs and deserves. But our districts in more rural areas were not receiving that same funding. So, and Benzie County actually is a great example. You all, it was in the Benzie Record Patriot, and I talked about it in my speech on the House floor when we passed my equity formula. Benzie students, with all of your bus routes put together in a single day, it would be like driving a student from Benzie Central to San Francisco. It's a massive bus route. So think about all the money that goes into the gas tank. So what I was able to do was tackle this. In my first 6 months, I worked with the appropriations chairs for the school aid funds in the House and the Senate. Fortunately, both of them are former teachers themselves, very passionate about education, but they come from urban districts, and this is not a thing in their district. So I give them a lot of credit. They listened to what I was trying to say about how different it was for more rural districts and how we needed to build in some additional funding to make up the difference. And we worked on it all the way through. We started advocating for it before the term even started. And it did get a new rural transportation equity fund formula into the budget. This is very down in the weeds, but it matters a lot for our kids. We got it into the budget. We got 125 million put into this year's budget to make sure that that money can go back into the classroom and invest in rural kids, no matter your zip code, to send the message that every child's education is important, no matter where they live in Michigan. So that's something I'm really proud of because I championed it. I got it done in my first 6 months. And I've gotten I will tell you, it's so heartwarming. Like so many, I got emails and letters from principals and teachers and superintendents and, some of the most rural districts, Posen and Forest area, McBain, well beyond the bounds of the 103rd, saying that they really appreciated that our budget actually prioritized and recognized that equity issue for rural kids. Another piece that I'm really excited about that we got done this year, and I won't take credit for this, I did not champion this, but I certainly supported it, was, and maybe some of you have kids or grandkids in the schools, we made sure for the first time ever, I believe, that every public school child has breakfast and lunch at school at no charge. And we erased all student lunch debt, which was a thing. We put that into this year's budget, and we are working to make sure that that is the case going forward for every child. This is saving each family an average of $850 per child for providing those meals and purchasing those meals at home, and also countless hours for parents, busy parents. So that one has been a big hit. I've heard from parents and teachers and social workers that that one has been transformational, because frankly, a kid can't learn if they're hungry, if they're so distracted by an empty belly, and it adds to challenges around behavior as well as just their ability to learn. And there are a lot of people who didn't qualify for the free and reduced lunch who really should have had access to this. So that's something Michigan is one of the first in the country to do, and I'm really excited about that one as well. Thank you. So you all know from my report earlier in the year, we did follow through on our commitment to repeal the Rick Snyder era retirement tax. We also expanded the working families tax credit, which had been cut from 20 to 6%. We expanded it to 30%. And starting next year, I'm sorry, my dog is over there and barking, so I apologize if you can hear him. He's struggling with the road trip portion of my day. Pax, shh. Bear with me. It's one of the rowdier members of the family. So starting next tax season, and over 5,000 working class families just in the 103rd alone will see hundreds and even thousands of dollars back into their pocket with this working families tax credit, which is really important to me coming from a working class rural family myself. And that's, I believe the math we did is close to $3 million that will then go back into the local economy as they get repairs done, they make purchases, etc. Just sending those dollars back to the local economy. We also invested $300 million into mental health services for our schools in this year's budget. And we also voted, and this one was unanimous. I was really proud of the House because we've had a good amount of bipartisanship, but it was the first time I think we ever got all 110 members of the House to vote for something. Even some of the members of they call themselves the Freedom Caucus. It's like Neil Frisky and Matt Maddock and some of those folks even came along with us on this one. But right now in Michigan, we know we're having a hard time having enough teachers, having enough social workers in our schools. And so part of the problem we identified was teachers and social workers moving here from out of state. There's up to 2 years of delay just going through all the paperwork and process to get your license transferred over to the state of Michigan so that you're qualified to teach and do social work. We were able to pass a bill in the legislature that cut that time in half. And I want to tell you, this moment on the floor was really cool. It went up on the board. There are these two electronic boards, and you push a button for green for yes, red for no. And we're all very used to Maddock and Frisky and several others just voting no to frankly to everything. But this one went up on the board, and a bunch of green, including Republicans, started going up. And so it was all green. It was looking unanimous. And then Maddock voted no, went red. First red name on the board. And you could hear his side kind of go, oh, you could hear this like collective like disappointment. And then Frisky did the same thing, and another sort of groan of like, gosh, we were so close. They changed their vote. They succumbed to positive peer pressure, and we got our first ever 110 yes votes to make sure that our teachers and social workers can get in the schools quicker. So that was a really cool kind of hopeful moment. I like to take folks under the dome sometimes to see what it's like. But that was a moment I will always remember, and I like to tell that story. Housing. Now, I talk about housing a lot, and there's a reason for that. It is a basic human need, and it is really at a crisis level for so many of our families, our people, our folks on fixed incomes. It's an impact on the business community because that's one of the biggest issues they have in attracting and retaining talent. let me just preface by saying there is so much more work to do. So do not hear me taking laps that we've solved the housing crisis, but two key things we were able to do this year. We established Michigan's first ever permanent housing fund in the state budget. So it literally just didn't exist. It was year over year. We might allocate some state tax dollars to housing and we might not. We established the first one ever. The other thing we did, this one I drew from my time as a county commissioner. I was always frustrated, for those of you who cover local government or watch local government, I was always frustrated that brownfield redevelopment dollars could not be used for housing. We changed that. I'm on the Economic Development and Small Business Committee. We looked at this issue and we voted to expand in state law the ability to use brownfield redevelopment dollars specifically to allow for communities to spend that on building out housing. And I was excited because at the recent Housing North Housing Summit, some of you might have gotten to attend. It was back, I want to say it was in October. What is time? Maybe it was earlier in November. I don't remember. But anyway, we're there and it was really gratifying to hear some of the folks on the panel from local government. This was in Antrim County. They brought that up and they said that their brownfield redevelopment board had sat, frankly, pretty dormant for many, many years. And they've already started using it specifically for housing, and they're building a unit that will have housing for at least 93 people. So it was good to hear that already that changed law is being put into practice to give our communities more tools to address the housing crisis. So excited about that. And that one, by the way, passed with bipartisan support. All right. There's so much to tell. I'm like looking at my notes. I want to skip a few things, but keep it moving here. So I know Jim had specifically mentioned something about the gun bills. You all know already because we passed those early and I'm currently being recalled for one of those. Well, we'll see what happens there, but being recalled for one of those votes I took. But extreme risk protection orders or red flags laws, we did pass those back in the spring, along with universal background checks and safe storage. This was the first time I think in my adult life that Michigan legislature had finally passed common sense gun laws. So I'm incredibly proud of those votes that we took. They are going to save lives. And I also, again, much like housing, I'm not claiming we have solved the terrible issue of gun violence, but those were important votes to take. And then more recently, just this past month in the legislature, both the House and the Senate passed a bill that addresses the fact that domestic violence perpetrators who are convicted of misdemeanors currently can still have weapons in the home. And this is despite the fact, and by that I mean firearms, this is despite the fact that all of the research shows that the likelihood of the victims of this perpetrator being harmed and killed goes astronomically up with the presence of firearms in the home. I heard about this from survivors. I heard about it from advocates who work with domestic violence survivors. And frankly, I heard about it a lot from law enforcement who said, look, we see these incidents happen over and over. And a lot of times somebody will plead down to a misdemeanor, but what they're doing really is a felony. And under current state law, only if you've been convicted of a felony can you have the weapon removed from your home. We just voted so that those convicted of a misdemeanor domestic violence will have their firearm removed for a period of 8 years. And that is a vote we just took and really the right thing to do, long overdue. So you know about probably the expansion of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. That was another early action we took. Gosh, that was, I want to say in the first or second month, but I'll just briefly reiterate. The Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act protects folks based on all sorts of identities, religion, etc., their ethnic background. But until we changed the law, it did not protect folks based on gender identity and sexual orientation, which meant that in Michigan, you could literally be fired or refused housing, things like that, for being gay, for who you love. And so we were able to change that in state law, expand Elliott Larson to make sure that that is no longer legal in Michigan. And then since then, on the front of expanding and supporting our LGBTQ plus loved ones and fellow Michiganders, we also voted to ban conversion therapy, which is just this horrific, barbaric practice, mostly perpetrated on LGBTQ youth. Another really important piece of legislation that we just got to pass that has to do with healthcare, and I can wind down here shortly so we have a little bit of time for questions. There's too much to report, but I'm doing my best to run through some of the highlights. I want to give a lot of props to Senator Jeff Irwin. This was his bill that he has championed over and over again in his time in the legislature, and we finally got it across the finish line this term. But it would end. Michigan was the only state in the country that had these incredibly strong shields protecting drug manufacturers, pharmaceutical companies, giving them immunity in the case where their product essentially harmed or killed residents, and it shielded them. It was passed the year I graduated high school, 1995, and it was the strongest law in the country protecting big pharma from accountability when their products harm or kill Michiganders. It has meant that Michigan has been out of luck in a lot of multi-state class action lawsuits, et cetera, as well as individual Michiganders and local units of government. So we just finally passed through the House and the Senate a bill that ends drug manufacturer immunity and will give us the ability as Michiganders to hold these companies accountable when their product harms or kills individuals. So long overdue, and frankly, friends, this is what happens when we do the hard work to actually deliver a Democratic majority. It gives us the power to actually deliver common sense protections for real people. So we're actually focusing on the well-being of Michiganders. Finally, we did also pass some of the most robust clean energy and climate legislation in the country. We have set a carbon neutral standard for 2040, which rivals California, I believe. And it gives all sorts of tools to the Michigan Public Service Commission to, for the first time ever, they regulate consumers, they regulate DTE, and when those companies bring forward their integrated resource plans for how they're going to do their energy, it allows the Michigan Public Service Commission to actually look at things like environmental justice and climate resilience in approving or disapproving and telling those companies to go back to the drawing board. This is not a perfect piece of legislation. We had our Joe Manchins and our Bernie Sanders in our caucus, but we did get to something that demonstrates real progress moving us forward on the issue of addressing climate. And frankly, it's going to bring billions with a B, probably twice as much as we would have received from the federal Inflation Reduction Act, because we had to adopt actual standards, not just suggestions, which is what our Republican friends wanted, but actual standards to move us towards cleaner and more carbon-free energy in order to unlock all of those billions of dollars. And that money will come with public and private investments. It's going to help us build out hundreds of thousands of more clean energy jobs. And it does build in a lot more affordability to make things like wind and solar more accessible to working families. It also, a part of the legislation that I'm excited about, we had a 1% cap on rooftop solar, and we have expanded that now to 10%. So we're going to have a lot more opportunity for people to collect their own electricity via wind and solar and sell it back to the grid and actually save some money that way as well. So it's not a perfect piece of legislation, but it definitely is a huge step in the right direction, and that's an exciting thing we were able to do. So I have so much more I can share. I can talk about what we're doing next. Big priorities for me as your rep. We have so much more work to do again on the housing front. I'm meeting with a lot of childcare providers and looking at what we can do to support our childcare home and center-based providers and actually providing the care in a way that they can actually be sustainable, and also hopefully some easing the burden for families for how expensive childcare is, and just expanding that because it's a critical need. Housing, same thing. We have lots more work to do on that front. Mental health, we are in the middle of a mental health crisis. We all know that. That's a major focus, and I will put a pin for you all in something called the mental health parity bill, which essentially would require insurance companies to cover mental health care the way at the same rates and for the same amount of time as they do physical health care, which they're not doing currently. It's a really big problem because people who might be referred for inpatient treatment for 30 days, they're getting notice from their insurance company that they'll only pay for 5, as one example. This is a critically needed bill. We're very close to having the votes, and that's something I'm excited to do when we're back in session back in January. I'm in district now, doing lots more in district work, which is exciting because I can't be with you all when I'm down in Lansing, but mental health, housing, childcare are big ones for me. And then expanding transparency. I'll be honest, the proposal 1 implementation, I think was really lackluster. I was part of pushing a much stronger set of bills that would have had more stringent requirements around financial disclosure, including spousal, things like, who's paying for trips that lawmakers take. There was a lot of bipartisan support, and the Senate passed the weaker version. I think it was like 38-2. And then there was, frankly, a huge fight on the House floor where our stronger bills and our stronger amendments did not make it through, but there was strong bipartisan support for the stronger version. So that's something I'll be going back and working with both Democrats and Republicans. Prop 1 was the first step, but there is a lot more to do to take Michigan from, frankly, one of the worst in the country for ethics and transparency to one of the best, which is where we should be, what we deserve as Michiganders. And then expanding Freedom of Information Act and Open Meetings Act. I'm on a work group working on those as well with Jocelyn Benson and Dana Nessel. They've been great partners on this front. Lots more to do, but I'll stop talking now and happy to take a few questions.
Betsy, thank you very, very much. What a great report. Okay, we do have a couple questions in the chat. Mark's going to read them to you, and then we'll look for raised hands after that.
As far as questions for you, Betsy, there's one from Marcia Curran, and maybe you already answered this. How did your bills fare with Republican support? Give us a feel for that.
For sure. And hello, Marcia. Thank you for the question. So, for example, the tribal funding for domestic violence and sexual violence treatment and shelters, that one passed the House 103-3, and it passed on the Senate side. I think it was close to unanimous, and that was my first bill ever signed into law. So that one received a lot of bipartisan support. Was really proud of that. My bill, or I'm sorry, it was part of the school aid fund budget, but my rural school district equity formula did also receive bipartisan support. Senator John DeMoose and some other Republican senators and some members of the House, not as many as we would have hoped, they did vote for the budget. And I got a lot of positive feedback from, frankly, rural Republicans who have known about this problem of equity for our school districts. Our former state senator, Wayne Schmidt, over in what would it be? That's like John DeMoose's district now, and he was the former state rep as well. He was the school aid fund appropriations chair. They have been kicking this issue around for decades, and I got a little kick out of it because I did a panel with Senator DeMoose, Rep. Roth, and a couple of others several months ago, and Wayne was the moderator, and he kind of said, "Well, you know, what are you most proud of that you've gotten done so far? But we'll give Betsy a pass because she's so new." And I thought, okay, Wayne, let's do this. So when it came my turn, I said, you don't need to give me a pass. I listed a bunch of the things that I told you already. And then I told him that we were on the cusp of addressing that decades-long transportation equity issue, which I knew he knew about because he was the school aid fund approps chair. So that was kind of fun for me. We got plenty done, and we got bipartisan support to do it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're looking for some raised hands here if anybody has a question for Betsy. Jeannie, go ahead.
Can everybody hear me okay? Betsy, I just wanted to mention about the caucus that has been formed regarding Michigan's kinship children and families. And Betsy is the vice chair of that committee with the hard work that has been done with myself, Deb Frisbee, Cheryl McKean, Karen. A lot of people are putting this forward now so that we can get these inequities resolved or changed as far as Michigan's children are concerned. 10,000 kids in foster care, 54,000 in kinship care that don't receive services.
Yeah. Absolutely, Jean, and thank you so much. You and Deb and Cheryl, they, come to my coffee hours. They've come to Lansing. We've continued to have meetings, and I'm really excited, Jean, that the fact that, for example, at the legislative advocacy day that you all did in Lansing a couple of months ago, that our DHHS appropriations chair, Christine Morris, who used to be a county commissioner like myself, came, and I know she's very tuned in. You guys have done great work, and we've worked to get her aware, because that's half the issue, right? If we want to change systems and we want to address oversights like not having funding in our state budget to support kinship care families, we have to get the ear of folks like our appropriations chair. And so please know that I'm really excited to be a part of that caucus. And Chris is very open. And as we go into sort of budget season, which is starting here shortly to start building on the budget, I will certainly be working with you to advocate to rectify that the absence of funding to support families who are caring for their young kids and families. So thank you for that again.
Great. Okay, I'm talking to the folks on Zoom now. I don't see any hands here in headquarters. So is there somebody who would like to ask there's a question back there. Go ahead. Alan is going to ask you a question when he gets the microphone there, and he's going to hold it close to his face.
Hi, Betsy. Just wondering, have you been involved in this non-disclosure discussion that's going on?
So is that Alan McCullough?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi. I hope you and Sylvia are well. Thank you for the question. I've been really disturbed by again, I think there's just sort of this status quo culture in Lansing of just things that have been permitted, even if they aren't really the best way to do business. And they've been this way for decades around. And you heard me mention earlier how passionate I am about expanding the bare minimum that we did with implementing Proposal 1, which had to do with financial disclosures. But Michigan is one of the worst, if not the worst in the country. By the Center for Public Integrity does this analysis of all 50 states on over 40 measures around ethics, transparency, budgeting, and more. And we're one of the worst in the country. We have been for a long time, which I find unacceptable. The non-disclosure piece that you're talking about has to do with the state making deals with companies to incentivize them to, come here, build out here, stay here, etc. And there's something called the SOAR Fund, which very respectfully, this is a Governor Whitmer priority. And I understand we need to compete. We need to make sure that we're not losing some of our larger employers and that we're attracting them. But the devil's in the details. And right now in Michigan, it is permissible for state lawmakers to sign non-disclosure agreements as they are part of these negotiations. But the problem is that's public money. We're dealing with public tax dollars. And so that's something that as I'm working with a bipartisan, I'm helping co-found a pretty strong bipartisan work group to look at our broader issues around ethics and transparency. And frankly, that comes out of the Proposal 1 fight, because almost 50 of us opposed what was trying to be done with the weaker versions of Prop 1. This is something we'll be looking at. We're going to look at the bigger picture. Lansing's got some bad habits, and they are bipartisan. They have been the case for a very, very, very long time. But this is a long way of saying, Alan, that is exactly one of those kinds of things that we think we need to look at and raise the bar to make Michigan a leader instead of a laggard on transparency.
Also, Betsy, Linda Pepper has a question. Does it look like family leave will be worked on in January?
Thank you. And hi, Linda. Thank you for the question and for all the support you've given. You've been at almost all of my Benzie County coffee hours all year, actually. So I know that one's a big priority. The governor talked about it in her speech, the What's Next speech in August. And it was one of the few things in her What's Next speech that we didn't actually get done this fall. What I know is Senator Erica Geis has been working on the paid family leave piece in the Senate. I don't believe there's anyone in the House right now that is working on that. So we may end up seeing her Senate bill come January. But that I don't have enough information on as far as where that is in the process. I certainly know that that would make a huge difference for our families across the state. And, you know, there's all this talk about what do we do to make Michigan a state that young families come to and those who are already here that they stay. I certainly see how that would go a long way. But stay tuned. I don't have any special information about where we're at with that one.
Thank you for that answer. Okay, opening up to our Zoom folks. If you have a question, please shout it out right now. Steve Thompson has a question. Thank you.
Actually, Betsy, I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank you for all your hard work. And I am so grateful that I got to meet you so many years ago at that Green Party meeting that we met each other up there in Traverse City. And
Absolutely.
I want you also to know that we in the cannabis community are helping the Dems in Lansing because we're very excited about Rick Johnson going to prison for dirtying up our medical marijuana law on December 2nd.
Speaking of the need for ethics and reform, we have an awful lot of House speakers who are in trouble with the law currently. And so, yes, absolutely, Stephen.
And they're all Republicans.
Well, and bipartisan issue that we need to do better. But thank you, Stephen. I appreciate your support over the years. And folks, I'll just, if I may, Jim, because I actually do have to head out here in a second, I'm just going to wrap up with a message for you all. We have been able to do incredible work because of all of the investment, the hard work that we in Northern Michigan did to help deliver, you know, the last piece in a 56-member majority. And helping deliver a trifecta. And, you know, election year has already started. I have 2 Republican opponents already who have declared, and I have a giant target on my back. I have heard from many, many sources that the Republican infrastructure and right-wing dark money groups they're absolutely coming for the 103. And I am not afraid, but I am realistic. It is going to be another very, very, very tight race in the 103. I am on the bubble. I won by less than 800 votes. And this time, frankly, I won't have, abortion is not on the ballot this year. We already addressed that, which was a huge driver of turnout in 2022. The governor's not going to be on the ballot with her popularity. So just know that if you like what you're hearing and you want us to be able to do more beyond next year, we're going to have to go hard to protect and deliver this seat and keep it blue for the foreseeable future and keep that vital last piece of the puzzle in place so that we can keep a single seat majority. Well, we need to expand it, of course, but we got to defend what we have. So to any and all extent that you can support, you know, my website is still up. You can contribute. We're going to be kicking up the campaign soon, and I'll be announcing, you know, we'll have a date for when I'm going to formally announce. But there's going to be lots of work to do to hold on and protect all of the gains we've made and keep doing it into the future. So I know we can do it. We are hard workers. We make things happen up north, and we are on the map. The whole state is paying attention to what Northern Michigan is up to. So let's keep a good thing going. Thank you all. I'm gonna head out, but thank you all for your support. Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you, Jim, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Representative Betsy Coffia from the 103rd District. Okay, that's about it. What an awesome list. You want another list like that? Another year? We need canvassers. We need phone callers. We need people to get involved. Please do what you can. We will be asking, we will be putting out the call, and staying on the couch is not an option unless you've got a phone there that you're dialing. Okay? So that's it for today. Thank you very, very much for coming. Have yourselves a wonderful sunny Saturday. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jim.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Ciao.